Afternoon. Thank you for joining us. My name is Maria Sensi Sellner. I'm the Artistic and General Director of Resonance Works Pittsburgh. And if you're seeing this, then one of two things has just happened. One is maybe we popped up magically on your Facebook or on YouTube, or you just watched this fabulous recital given by two of the women here to my right, Maureen Conlon-Gutierrez and Jeng Lin. And we hope that the second is the case. And if you have not watched this wonderful recital, I think that if you listen to our little chat right now, you'll want to go get a ticket. Resonance Works Pittsburgh, through the pandemic, we've launched a virtual Resonance Chamber series, which provides a platform for our artists to create these wonderful programs and premiere them online, and then they are available on demand for you to watch at your leisure. So if you just watched the program, you can watch it again. We're going to have it up for through the end of the season. And if you didn't see it yet, you haven't missed it. So we hope you will go and get a ticket for Amor y Corona, the wonderful name for this recital of romances. So let's just go straight to Maureen. Tell us about this program, and you named it. So tell us about Amor y Corona.
Yeah, well, hi everyone. Thanks for joining us. Basically, it kind of all came together accidentally, but I ended up absolutely loving what ended up being our final product. And we've got Amy Beach's Lovely Romance that opens the program, and it's probably one of my absolute favorite pieces that I had not been able to play as of yet. And so I was like, why not? You hardly ever get to play these short pieces on recital programs, unfortunately. You're usually playing big sonatas. And so this was our chance to really just do all the beautiful short pieces that we don't typically get to play. And then Clara Schumann's Second Romance, which I wasn't familiar with either. And that was Maria's suggestion, actually, for a program that we were possibly going to be doing in the fall, and I ended up not being able to play for. And then the very special piece on this program, which was written by Gina Enriquez, who is joining us here today with live for this conversation. And she wrote a romanza, so I was like, hey, let's just call it a love fest. So that's basically what ended up happening. And then the next piece on the program, which are the 6 morceaux by Pauline Villardo Garcia, starts off with a romance. So it worked out so perfectly. And this kind of event would just not be possible in any other time. So it just felt fitting to put, love and corona, which, you don't expect lots of positive things to come out of these seasons, but I try to see the positive of it. And we got to do this recording. We got to do a stream for people that are all over the world. Typically my friends and family in Mexico don't get to hear me play just because, well, geography. And now they got to do it. And it was just extra special because I have so many friends that were watching right as it premiered, and that just means a lot. So that's how this whole program came to be, and that's the title.
Absolutely. Well, you said a lot, and I want to dig into all of those things a little bit more. But I failed to mention that if you're watching, we want to hear from you. So you can send your questions and comments in the chat, either on Facebook, or if you've watched the recital, there's a chat right below the window where this video is playing, and you just have to put in your name, and then you can send us your comments and questions. And somebody has already done that. Ellen says, bravo, all was so good, thank you. So we will send your comments to these wonderful ladies, and your questions as well if you have them. Well, I'll dig into just the genesis of this a little bit. We had so Resonance Works has a commitment now to presenting in a season at least half of the works that we present by women creators. I feel really strongly that we need to make commitments like that in order to normalize better representation in our concert halls and in our opera houses. And so we are making that commitment up front, and it's just been fantastic. I mean, there's so much wonderful music that doesn't get programmed, and we're looking to do our little part to change that. Maureen referenced we had a series in the fall that we particularly entitled March of the Women in celebration of the centennial of the 19th Amendment, which a lot of people were doing in 2020. But it kind of grew beyond its limits. And Karen was our fabulous pianist for that whole series. And Maureen and I, we had chatted about that a little bit. I'm like, well, on this one program, it'd be great to have a couple of pieces. A lot of it was, or art songs, a couple pieces that were not with singers. And I looked at the, Clara Schumann romances, and I loved the Pauline Villardo. And I was like, well, maybe we can pick one or two of them. But I'm so glad this ended up being what happened, because then we didn't have to pick and choose. You could play all of the Villardo pieces, and really, I didn't even notice the romance connection. So Maureen, that was totally brilliant, and a perfect program for Valentine's Day. Karen, talk a little bit about your collaboration. The two of you actually kind of had some near misses in life, right?
We missed each other for a couple of years. Yes, we missed each other at Rice University, and then I didn't even know that. After Rice University, I did my master's at University of Maryland, and then I did a certificate at Mannes College of Music. And I didn't even know this, Maureen, until I read this, that you were about to go to Mannes, but instead you went to Carnegie Mellon. And then we met 2017, maybe end of 2017, we were doing a project with Laura Len McGill, with Amishi artists. We had a program, and Maureen was the violinist, and that's how we met. And Maureen was pregnant at the time, and I just had my baby, so we bonded over that. And over time, we had been keeping in touch. We had a couple lunches here and there, and then the pandemic happened, basically. And then one day, Maureen called me, and we just, started where we ended. I kept on going, and she's like, "Do you want to do this recital with me?" I was like, "Sure. I mean, I'd love to." We only had done one or two small pieces in our previous gig with Laura, so we didn't get to do a full recital. And I play mostly with singers. I love playing with instrumentalists, but I love playing with Maureen. We just have a connection when we play, and when we had rehearsals, there wasn't even that much talking during rehearsals. We would just play things over again and just communicate through our music making. And so it was truly a gift, and it was just fun, so much fun. And all the music was new for me. So that was a joy too. It was nice to not do just a standard violin recital. And such an honor to play Gina's piece as well. And so exciting that it's just so fresh off the press, and we could communicate with her about little things here and there. And it was just so fun, so challenging, but just I was very happy to do it. And hearing back to it too, I'm very, very happy with the result as well.
So I actually didn't realize that you two hadn't really worked together very much until this program. So I think Maureen, I said, well, Karen was working with us for the series, and then that all really worked out so wonderfully. We're getting lots of comments. Beautiful recital. This is Jessica. Thank you both for your artistry. Liam says thank you. I love the piece by Miss Gina. Daniel Colon says bravo. And Suzanne, our friend from Facebook land, says a piece by Pauline Villardo. Wow. And we're so glad, Suzanne, that you're able to tune in again with us today and are feeling better. Let's talk about Miss Gina Enriquez's Romanza. and how that came to be. Another wonderful story. Maureen or Gina, tell us how this happened. I know, Maureen, this came from your desire to put a particular kind of piece on this program.
Okay, I can start. So since I knew I wanted to do a program of female composers, I wanted to have a composer of my heritage. And I am Mexican American, and I have so much pride in my Mexican side, especially having been born and raised there until I was 18. People always ask me, do you feel more Mexican or more American? And it's hard to explain that, because I guess culturally I feel more Mexican, but intellectually or philosophically, I guess I feel more American. It's kind of weird. I don't know. And they ask you, do you dream in English or Spanish? I'm like, both. It's weird. But it's always been a sense of pride for me to have been born and raised in that country. And I try to champion as many works as I can by Mexican composers. And so when we were going to do something like this, I looked everywhere. I Googled, I listened on YouTube, and I even put out, thanks to social media, you can ask friends for comments on Facebook, like, does anyone know any good works by female Mexican composers? And I came out with nothing, weirdly. There were a couple of things that I found by a couple of really great Mexican female composers, but they were either too long or they weren't going to quite fit the overall theme of our program. And so when my very, very dear former violin teacher's wife said, she saw my Facebook post and said, you know what? I know another Gina, because her name is Gina. And she said, I know another Gina who's a great composer. Let me put you in touch with her. And that's how I met this amazing composer. So if Gina, you want to take it from there.
Yes, thank you, Maureen. Thank you very much. I'm really so excited and happy, and you both played my piece really, really wonderfully. Thank you very much. Yes, it was another Gina who introduced us, and I mean, it's a dear friend of mine, and I was really, really very happy for Gina to call me and talk to me about this project by Maureen and Karen. Thank you. I really enjoyed your playing very much. The piece, I had that melody written already. Somehow, it came to me, I would say maybe 2 years ago. And it just popped. And I said, wow, it's a nice melody, but I didn't know what to do with it. I just stayed there. And when Maureen told me about this project and what was it about, I said, dear me. So that melody was waiting for this moment. Thank you. So it was waiting for this, and it was really not just the beginning, like the motive of the melody. And I said, this is the moment. So I said, Maureen, yes, 2-3 weeks is a very good time to write a short piece. So I did it. It was not difficult. That's how I knew it was the moment for that melody to be born, because it just went very, very swiftly, very nicely, without any difficulty. So that's the story of my Romanza.
Well, it is gorgeous. I heard that story very quickly before we recorded, right, Maureen? I think for the very first time, and I just was taken by it. That we didn't actually play it that many times. The thing about recording, you play it a couple of times, unlike in a live performance. And it just gorgeous. And I'm so glad to know of your music now and to know about you. You're going to be new to most of our audience. Can you tell us a little bit about your work? And you're also very active as a conductor, I know. Tell us a little, and you're coming to us from your home in Mexico City, right?
Yes, that's it.
Please
Yes,
share a
I'm
little bit.
I'm yes, I'm here in Mexico City. This is my home in Mexico City. And yes, I'm a conductor too. I'm one of the very few women in Mexico that works both as a composer and conductor. It's not an easy combination, and it's so much work. And but I love it. I love both. I went to college in Boston, Massachusetts, and in fact, that's the school where I met my teacher, my conducting teacher, George Monsieur, um, and um, and that's where I got started with the conducting part of my career, and before that, I was totally focused in composing, and I entered the Berklee College of Music, the film scoring program. So that was my objective. But well, life takes you, makes some turns for you. So from there, I went to study to Paris with Maestro Leon Barzan, and from there I went to London to the Guildhall School of Music, and I did the two master degrees in composing and conducting. So that's and then well, I just came back to Mexico and I worked with youth orchestras for several years, and I've been doing guest conducting with the principal professional orchestras in Mexico City, and I formed a professional women's orchestra, which was the first professional women's orchestra, symphony orchestra in Mexico back in 2003. And from then I have been combining my work as a composer and a conductor. And I've written several tone poems dedicated to endangered species. The first one was Ivory, which is dedicated to the elephants. It describes a hunting of elephants, and from there I have written music, orchestral pieces for the bees, which is an endangered species. Also for the coral banks, the reefs. I wrote one piece called Arrecife Reef, and I wrote a piece for horses uh, because I love horses, and I got very inspired in the Cavalia show in Los Angeles, California, and it was born from there, and so on. I mean, fellow and I have and I'm working right now on the work for the Amazonian, the Amazon, the Amazon River, which is endangered too, and so on. I mean, that's more or less the what I do in my work as a composer.
Well, that's all incredible. Wow, everything was just. I'm so glad that this serendipitous situation brought our audience to your music, and I hope we can do more of your music in the future. That would be outstanding. And
Yes, of course.
and I don't know if you come to America to come north to do some conducting when all of this is over. That would be incredible too. I'm a conductor myself, and
Oh.
so that's primarily what I do when I'm not running Zoom interviews, which is now mostly what I do.
Oh, great!
Because we can't do that. But it's such an honor and a privilege, and I'm so grateful that you wrote this piece for this project. And it's just beautiful. And those of you who haven't heard it yet, you just have to go listen. It's just amazing and perfect for today, on Valentine's Day or any day. A wonderful romanza. So Karen, you said this music was all new to you. Were there pieces that were of particular challenges along the way?
I would say the tarantella was tricky. And thank you to the Mansions on Fifth. They have a beautiful piano in their lobby. So we got to play on that. And that piano just had a couple glitches here and there. So you could hear a couple of the hammers kicking up on helping me with that tarantella. But that was tricky. I think the Amy Beach was tricky in the way of pacing it. It was basically like playing a ballade, just got to pace yourself. And Maureen and I were texting earlier saying that when we listened back to the recording, we're like, we got goosebumps listening to that piece. I think hopefully we did it justice by pacing it well and making it as invigorating and as romantic without being too romantic that it doesn't lose interest in it. I thought that was difficult. I think, in some ways the little petite morceau pieces, they were tricky despite being so short and simple. Sometimes those were the trickier ones, just to keep them tight and interesting. But they each had their own little challenges, and it was coincidentally just, I think, a very well-rounded program. Next time we will do the entire Clara Schumann then. For now. Yeah.
Sounds good to me. And I think that the Pauline Villardo pieces, they're really compact. They're what I was reading about them, she aimed to create a great archetype of each of these characters pieces, right? So the romance and the mazurka, and you got to work out in that.
Yeah, and it's a little bit of every emotion out there. You have the playfulness, you have the dancing, and then the lullaby, and the tarantella. It's a wonderful, wonderful set. And I really hope that everyone out there listening, or anyone, that it's played more often, because it's hard. It's hard.
I kind of just tripped over that piece, but I honestly, she's one of my favorites now, Pauline Villardo. She did so much. Maureen, you gave a wonderful introduction in the program to her and to her life, but she was an amazing woman, right? Opera singer, daughter of opera singers. She did a lot of teaching. She, you kind of know at that time you wanted to be at one of her parties. I think that those were going to be the places to be. But she has a great compliment from Franz Liszt, who said, "Here is a woman of musical genius as a composer," and she really just did that as a hobby, which is really incredible. Maureen, I'll ask you the same question about particular challenges that may not be apparent would not be apparent to our audience members.
Sure. I will just begin this with something that one of my teachers, actually my teacher at Rice University, Ken Goldsmith, who passed away right at the beginning of COVID. It was really sad. But anyway, when he first admitted me to his studio, he said, "Playing the violin is easy. What's hard is making music." And at the time I thought, what? Playing the violin is so hard. How can you say that? But he is so right, and that definitely applies to this program because even though they may seem like somewhat simple or easy pieces because they don't have all the fireworks, they're so vocal in many ways. And having the violin sound not like a violin, you want it to sound like it's effortless. You want it to sound like it's a singer. And most of these pieces are extremely vocal. I don't know if it's because a lot of these composers were writing mostly for voice. I was kind of putting those together. I was like, well, Amy Beach wrote a lot of songs, and Clara Schumann wrote a lot of lieder, and Pauline Villardo was a singer herself, and Gina actually writes a lot of vocal stuff as well. So my goal was to have the violin sound everything that it can do, but as a violin, but sound as vocal and effortless as possible. And so there's a definite challenge in doing that because you have to be thinking about how every note is connecting to the next and from the previous to the next, and having no breaks in sound, or you have to change your bow or change a finger, and you don't want anyone to be focusing on that. You want them to be listening to these gorgeous melodic lines. So I mean, the technicalities obviously are there. None of these pieces are really that easy for the violin, but within their simplicity, it's just that ever constant goal of having it sound as effortless as possible. And I think Karen would agree the same for the piano. She's a magnificent pianist, and she's just so sensitive, and I think that comes from accompanying so many singers. There's something to that. We joke around that singers don't count, or they just kind of do whatever they're feeling. I mean, kind of. The good ones count, I guess, but there's something to that, because that means that the pianists who are playing with them have to really be listening, and that's something that Karen really does. She's always listening to what the other person is doing, and I felt like even if I even slightly showed that I was going to do something, she already caught on to it. And you don't find that with every pianist. So that goes to show, singers, thank you for not counting so that your accompanists learn how to follow.
Maureen, I think that's why we worked so well too, is that you were in that vocal mentality as well. And that's how I treated a lot of the music as well. I mean, it's no different playing for a singer versus a instrumentalist. Well, I know the singer has to breathe, but I breathe with them, I think I was actually breathing with Maureen, even despite her playing a string instrument. I think we were just on the same wavelength on many levels about it. And it makes Valentine's Day makes my heart full that, that it worked out so well.
When I think that's really, I'm going to chime in and sing Karen's praises, because I think, you really are when we talk about the collaborative pianist, you're like the quintessential collaborative pianist, because fabulous pianist and amazing collaborator. And, that is a universal compliment. From any time. I think the first time you and I crossed paths was back in 2013, and ever since then, whenever there's an opportunity for us to do something together, I'm always interested in that. We have a question that's sort of related to this discussion. Bill asks, how many hours of rehearsal were required for this performance? And I don't know the answer to that either, because you rehearse on your own, and then I came in with a microphone and and a camera. But tell us about your process.
Did we have 2 or 3 rehearsals?
We had 2 rehearsals.
2 rehearsals, yeah.
Yeah, we're 2 hours each.
Around. The second one was pretty intense. We didn't even take a break. I remember I collapsed like after Maureen left. We were just so focused, and we didn't even think about taking a break. And we just, it was just 2 sessions, and then we recorded.
That's once again a testimony to both of your great experience and professionalism. You know, all the work you do for all those years leads you to the point where a program like this you rehearse twice. So that's amazing. We had a couple more comments. Karen says, beautiful, beautiful program. Thank you, ladies. Irma says, from Mexico with love. Lucero, congratulations. Gina. So we're getting some wonderful comments. Keep those coming. If you have more questions, please send them along in the chat, either below this on the recital page or in Facebook. And this is as close to interactive conversation as we can have, and we want to every time we do a premiere, we want to have some kind of interaction with you who are watching. I've noted along the way that these virtual performances are amazing. Maureen, you talked about how this is able to reach out to family across the miles who would not have come to a recital in Pittsburgh. So we're able to do that, but at the same time, you don't have for me, it's making the circle complete when the audience receives is a part of the live experience. Then it feels complete, and so it always sort of feels unfinished to me. So we love hearing from everybody who's watching.
Absolutely.
Maureen?
I definitely agree with that. It's one of those, it's funny because even though we weren't playing this live, I was still excited and nervous while watching it. And it's nice to have that, because in a season where we've mostly just been doing a lot of recording, every organization is doing their best to put music out there for our audiences. And it's just so tricky, like knowing how to replicate that live experience. And you just can't. But we're doing our best. And thank you for everyone that is continuing to support the musical organizations by coming on here and listening to us virtually, and then coming to our post-concert reception a la Zoom. I've got my wine, so I'm ready to go.
Well, maybe now we have to talk about the dresses. So there's a story here, another story. I walked into the Mansions on 5th, and here were these two amazing musicians and gorgeous women wearing the same red dress. Can you please, that may not have been obvious because Karen was sitting behind the piano, but this dress has a story. Can you please share?
Okay, you want me to do it? I'm the storyteller here. We just happened to wear the same red dress, same brand, same size, for our junior recitals when we went to Rice, but like 4 years apart though. So it was just so funny because we were texting about what to wear, and of course with the pandemic, when are we going to wear a gown? So we're texting each other pictures of our dresses, or I text Maureen pictures of what I had, and she said, oh, I think I have a red dress. I'll wear one too, since it's going to be a Valentine's Day recital. And it was just so funny that we were both wearing the exact same red dress.
Well, it was even funnier because we had already gotten through like half of a recording and we're taking a break. And I was like, what brand is your dress? Because like we could tell they looked the same, but I mean, what are the chances they were the same brand? And
we might have got from the same place at the Galleria in Houston.
I think we might have even bought them in the same store. It's kind of ridiculous.
So again, serendipity, it was meant to be.
And we didn't know this was going to air on Valentine's Day. It just, it
was an idea.
It worked out that way. Yeah, we thought about doing it, and but my original choice of dress was going to be yellow. So a little different from red. So the yellow wasn't going to go with any of Karen's dresses. This is how important these choices are, you guys.
This is really behind the scenes. See, you really, they had 2 rehearsals, but a lot of texting about dresses.
It's so important what you're going to wear. So yeah, my yellow dress didn't make the cut, and that was fine. So when these red dresses made it onto the scene and then were the same exact dress, we were just like, okay. And then we're playing a bunch of romances. It had to be Valentine's Day. It just had to be.
So I love you both, but I kind of hate you that you still fit in a dress that you wore for your junior recital. Little shade for that.
Let me
Good
just
for
say,
you. Good for you.
I don't know about Karen, but I definitely put on the freshman 15. So I put on 20 pounds in my freshman and sophomore year. So by the time I got to my junior year, I was 20 pounds heavier than when I moved from Mexico to the US. So that is why I still fit in this dress.
That only helps a little, but still.
I'm trying, Marie, I'm trying.
I appreciate it. We got a couple more comments. Daniel and Christina say enjoying from Cancun, Mexico. And we talked about some of the challenges, but Liam asks, which piece was fundamentally the hardest to play?
For me, it was the Tarantella. Technically, it was the Tarantella.
At the very end. Yeah.
Yeah, the Tarantella is very notey for the piano, right? Is that what it is? It's just there's so many notes so quickly. And for anyone that plays the piano, like being able to do those many articulations in that short amount of time and having the key be able to come back up and down, right? Am I explaining that right?
Not only was that sometimes in the right hand, these two fingers were playing the Tarantella melody, and then you had to play another chord with my thumb and my these two fingers. So it was like a lot of balancing, or I had to redistribute, but then sometimes the redistribution didn't work either. So it was just a lot of but eventually it felt like, we were talking about this in rehearsal, it felt like riding a bicycle, or it was like just a perpetual motion feeling. And once we got on that wheel, then it was fine. And you just have to keep that momentum going. If you do miss a couple of notes here and there, it's about that energy to continue that. But for me, it was the Tarantella.
Yeah, the Tarantella is tricky. For some reason, since the violin was only playing one line, it wasn't as difficult for me. So I told Karen, I told Karen at the beginning, she's like, how fast should I go? I'm like, look, it's your funeral. You do what you need to do to make it to the end. And she did. It was great. It was great.
How about for you, Maureen?
For me, it was definitely the Amy Beach. She did not skimp out on the extreme writing. I kind of talked about that a little bit in the intro to the piece, but she really explores the extreme ranges of the violin, which at times can be a little tricky just because you're trying to voice everything so carefully. And when you're up on the stratosphere, and some parts you want it to be really, really large and expansive. And then at the very end, you want it to sound like you've kind of drifted away and you want it to be very, very distant. And that has its own challenges as well. And so for me, that's probably what I spent a lot of time on. But Gina's piece was also tricky in its own way, because it has this line that's going in different registers, and you want it to build to where she wanted it to climax musically, and you didn't want to give that away by just climbing the register and having it sound louder. And so there were a lot of different things that I had to kind of play with. And like, I think when Karen and I read it for the first time, I was like, oh my God, this piece is beautiful. This is gorgeous, but I need some time with it. I'll see you at the next rehearsal, because I really need to think about how I'm going to bring out the best of these different ranges and how she kind of climbed that ladder in both of our lines. So I hope we did it justice.
Gina, did you have like orchestra in mind when you were writing the piano part? Because the more I think about it, like there was a lot of chords. What did you have in mind when you were writing the piano part?
Can you repeat it? It was a little bit cut off, your voice. Can you repeat the question?
When you were composing the piano part, were you thinking of an orchestra when you were doing that?
I always think of
I figured that. I figured I could tell immediately. It looked like it was like tutti strings, playing that. Yeah, it was gorgeous. So that was challenging for me to, to replicate that sweep feeling of the whole string section going up the scales, and
yes.
I could definitely hear an orchestra playing it too.
Yes, I usually when I compose, I hear an orchestra.
I could tell, yeah.
And I think I have to make an effort to, if I write I don't know, maybe a piano sonata or something, really, really just stay with the instrument, with the piano. But it's hard for me because I automatically, my mind uh, hooks with orchestra, and sometimes it's difficult to write for piano, organ, harpsichord, or
Big hands.
that's it. Yeah.
No, but yeah, I could definitely hear that. So
Yeah.
Well, I have a question for
I have
you.
it in my head right now.
Yeah. Gina, what are there composers that you feel particularly influenced by, or that you especially love, that you feel have influenced your music, or not, but that you love?
Yes. Yes, certainly yes. um i would I would say Poulenc, very much. I love Poulenc, and I really feel that sometimes he gets in there. The Impressionists, Fauré, also, but also Gershwin. Gershwin is a very loved composer. I really love him, and the American composers. I love Barber. I love Barber. I don't feel very influenced, but I love his music, and of course Copland. But I would say the French composers. I would say the Impressionist composers are the ones that influenced me quite a bit.
Well, I love all of those, and I can hear some of that. We have a question. Gina, have you ever written music for films?
It's funny, but I haven't.
No. Well, now we live in COVID times. Everything's for a film, right? So.
Yes, yes. I mean, I studied the undergrad. My undergraduate studies were, I mean, composition, but more specifically film scoring. But I got, so redirected into conducting, that somehow I lost my way. No, but I do. Some people tell me, in fact, many people tell me, your music is so visual. And yeah, and if you listen to the tone poems, you can see. I mean, if you listen to Ivory,
Mm-hmm.
you see the hunting. You see the hunting. You can see it. And many people told me I wanted to make a PowerPoint presentation, to run it with the music. And a friend musician told me, "Are you nuts? You don't need a PowerPoint. You can see it." So it's very visual. It's very visual.
Well, I'm looking forward to listening to as much of your music as I can get my hands on, because I would love to listen and see all of the imagery. A couple more comments. Ava says, "I liked your music," and Daniel and Christina say, "When will you be doing another recital like this?" And I don't know who that's directed to, but that kind of can lead into another topic, which is what are we all working on? This is obviously a very strange time. Gina, have you been? I mean, I don't know. I assume for you as for me, there's not much conducting happening during the pandemic. What have you been doing? A lot more composing or teaching, or tell us what's happening for you or what's coming up.
I'm doing I'm doing composing. Yes, this is what I'm doing. This works for the Amazon River and the how do you, La Selva Amazónica, Maureen.
The Amazon jungle.
The Amazon jungle, yes. In fact, I'm doing two works. One is symphonic, and the other one is a chamber music work. It's a funny combination, string quartet and piccolo trumpet. For Maestro Otto Sauter, he's a German trumpet player. He commissioned the piccolo trumpet concerto that is written for the bees, and now he commissioned this work for string quartet and trumpet, piccolo trumpet, that he will be performing in the jungle in Manaus, and they're going to make a film. And he has invited 4 composers to write for different aspects of the Amazonian jungle, and he asked me to write for the animals. So I'm writing a kind of a like the Sensi Carnival for the animals, and they're short pieces for different animals, and that's what I'm doing right now. And I'm also sketching a symphonic version, well, not a version, but a different work for the Amazonian jungle. So I'm very focused right now on composing.
Wonderful. We look forward to those. I hope that the film will get to see. Do you know is there a timeline for that project?
This is going to be recorded in June in Manaus, and I don't know when they are going to release it, but I'll let you know, of course.
Absolutely. We'll look forward to that. Maureen and Karen, what is happening for you musically? We recorded this a little while ago, so we're premiering it today, but you are on to other things, I'm sure.
Yeah, I will answer that. I just had a quick question for Gina.
Yes, please.
Have you written other works for violin and piano? Now I'm curious.
No, I haven't.
This was your first one.
This is the first one, yes. Yes, well, I do have a trio, which is piano, clarinet, and violin, but it's a youth piece. I was like 17 or 18 years old.
Wow.
It's a trio, but I just remembered that. But that was the first one.
Well, now we know when we want to commission another piece, this time with money. we'll knock on your door again.
I'll write the violin concerto. I have a cello concerto.
Oh, that'd be fun. The cellists need good concertos.
I know.
So to answer your question, Maria, I have been doing a lot of nothing. So being able to do something like this was not only musically satisfying, but it really emotionally kept me going. I was in a really dark place in the fall, just because I guess in March of last year, we all thought, okay, 6 weeks shut down, and then okay, three more weeks, and then 3 more weeks, and then it hit us in June, like this isn't going away. And when everything just kept getting canceled, and you go from playing nonstop. I mean, I was playing every single day, everywhere, to nothing. And So in the fall, we did a little bit of stuff with Maria and Resonance Works, and that was just, it filled my soul in so many different ways. And then I did a couple of other things with a couple of other organizations. But after that, COVID kind of spiked and we just all stopped again, and it just became, it was hard. It was emotionally hard. So this was such a joy to be able to learn and put together. And now, starting in January, a lot of organizations have started to do more recordings and do streams. So I've had a lot more work since last month. So that has been great, and I'm hopeful. I'm very hopeful for the future, and I'm one of those people that works really well with projects. So keeping motivated when I don't have something to play for has been hard. So that's why having something to perform was just so healing, in terms of, okay, I have something to do today. There's something I can practice today. There's something that I can continue to master my craft at. So thank you to Gina. Thank you to Maria. Thank you for making this possible. And thank you to Karen for being willing to go on this ride with me.
Of course.
We're really grateful that you did this program. I have to say, you're one of the busiest people in the city that I know of. I always feel like it's such a great moment when our stars align and you can perform with us, because her schedule's insane, right? And we've got folks here who are commenting. Nick says, Maureen, when are you going to perform again in Erie? You're the concertmaster of the Johnstown Symphony, you play in Wheeling with the Pittsburgh Opera, Pittsburgh Ballet Orchestra. You're one of the busiest people I know. So every time things work out and you can play with Resonance Works, I feel like, I do a little dance because we can have Maureen.
Feeling is mutual.
Well, and the project you referred to earlier, so for everyone, we did a recording of the Stabat Mater by Julia Perry, which is going to once again be available. That was part of our March of the Women series, and we're going to repackage that a little bit. And in the coming week, parts of that series we're going to reintroduce to our on-demand library. So we'll hope you'll watch that. But it's really been a great thrill to have this program to look forward to, and I feel like I can echo everything you said about this time. It's been tricky to you have to reimagine your motivation in a lot of ways. Karen, what have you been up to, and are there things coming down the pike for you?
Okay? Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, there's a heat running in the back, so it's kind of loud. Well, I really have you to thank, Maria, since Resonance Works kept me busy in the fall with the March of the Women recital series. So I learned or relearned a lot of wonderful music and met lots of composers and performers across the country too. That was really fun. And then I haven't really done much of a lot. Recording is the thing these days. And so singers and instrumentalists have been, I've been in contact with people. So I'll go out and do recordings for people. Life goes on. People still need audition tapes. And it's interesting. I feel like I'm finding the little gems in Pittsburgh of where to record. Everyone has found a church or has found somewhere to record. So I've just been occupied with that. The Pittsburgh Concert Society is an annual competition, and so I am playing for a winner's concert, recording a winner's recital for one of the winners. Her name is Zuli Inirio, who's a wonderful soprano. And we are also in the process. Next week, I'm recording a program of women composers as well. It's for an Instagram platform called Latina Women. I wrote it down, Latina Women in Opera. So it's again like this whole other world of social media, Instagram recitals or Instagram live things. I don't even know what this is, but but that's what's going on. So we're recording that next week. So through the pandemic, still I feel like I've met a lot of people and have been able to keep my chops up and still play. And I'm very similar. Sometimes I get really overwhelmed. I can't just find something to do for because there's just too many things to do. I can't be like, okay, I'm going to learn, I don't know, this sonata or this piano sonata. I need an assignment. Like I need someone to say, we're going to do this and record this and perform this. Because that's just the way it was. I used to juggle tons of recitals all the time. I used to be playing like 3 or 4 recitals a week or a month. So but I am hopeful as well. And I think everyone's learning. Everyone has learned their different recording capabilities and ability. Everything's much faster and quicker. And so we are used to this recording world now. And but it still gives me a chance to play and to make music and collaborate with people with a mask on, of course. And so hopefully, in a couple months we can do some more live things. But thank you, Maria, for keeping keeping me hopeful and keeping me busy too throughout the pandemic.
Well, we're glad to be busy in whatever ways possible, and I think that when your hands are tied to do the things the way you usually do them, we've all had to find new muscles to flex. And find new ways of doing it. And I really think that, especially in the classical music industry, we haven't done a lot with, with digital performing and platforms. And there's a great potential to reach a lot of people, Maureen, as you said at the very beginning, about people all over the world. And so I think a lot of the things that we've learned and that we've had to do out of necessity in this past year, we can find a way to evolve that into a time where we can be live again, but we want to still be able to reach out to those folks who can't be with us live. So I'm hopeful that there's a future where we can do all of it to some degree. Let's see. I think there was another. Suzanne on Facebook said, would love to hear your pieces for the Amazon and animals. So we hope you'll keep us up to date about that. Do you have works for voice? We talk a lot about singing, and I think there was some reference to that. But have you written art song or opera or anything in that area?
Only songs. Only songs for now. I just the last premiere I had last year was a piece called Vuela, which means fly, dedicated to the eagle, the Mexican eagle, the Mexican royal eagle. And in fact, it's a vocal piece, and it's a large piece, orchestral piece for mezzo soprano and orchestra. It was very challenging. And my dear friend Grace Chowry, a wonderful Mexican mezzo soprano, she did a splendid job. But it was challenging, and she told me, my God, it was very challenging because you really need you need a lot of stamina to keep up, with the 3 movements, and the mezzo is singing constantly, so it is very challenging. It's 20 minutes, so it's very challenging. But it worked, and the piece was very, very, very successful. And you can hear it in my channel in YouTube. It's there along with the rest of my works.
Fantastic. Well, as Karen works a lot with singers, and Resonance Works does a lot of different. We're a multimodal company, so we have a lot of singers in our family of artists. We're doing everything from chamber works to opera. So we we ask that on our own behalf and on behalf of all the singers that we know who might want to be to look into your music. Well, we've been chatting for about an hour, and it's been so easy and so lovely on this Valentine's Day with these three lovely ladies. I want to thank you all. Thank you to Maureen and Karen and Gina, and we hope that if you have not watched this recital yet, Amor y Corona, you will take the opportunity to do so. It's going to be available through the end of the season, and you just go to our website. It is the latest addition to our on-demand library, which is a brand new invention as of last fall. And in addition to this program, there are several other recitals in this virtual chamber series, including a program of all solo violin works by Sandro Leal Santiesteban, and Dawn Posey and Jack Kurtz have a recital of all works by Black composers. And going back, What is Noise, the new music ensemble What is Noise did a wonderful program back in December that is still available, and Lindsay Goodman kicked us off in the fall with Electroacoustic Entomology, the flute recital about bugs. So we hope you will take a look at all of that. Our fundraiser movie, Verity by Vegetables, is also still available for your listening and visual pleasure, and we hope you will take advantage of that. And when you go to click on the Netflix, maybe decide to go to our on-demand library and substitute in a wonderful performance by our amazing artists. Any final greetings to anyone out there watching, or final words? I have to ask, I almost forgot, how are your daughters? Because your daughters are sort of kind of connected in date too, right? Don't they have like almost the same birthday?
Yes, but they're a year apart. So I've actually never met before.
Oh, wow. Well, Maureen's daughter is our Bach baby. So this will be the final story. One of the performances we were so grateful to have Maureen be able to play for was in March of 2019, our performance of the St. John Passion at Heinz Chapel, and Maureen was in labor the entire time. So I got a message the next day that her beautiful daughter Camila had come into the world, and thankfully did not do so at Heinz Chapel. So we love our little Bach baby.
Yeah, it's easy to remember Karen's daughter's birthday because her birthday was my daughter's due date. So I will never.
So funny.
Izzy's birthday.
Too many coincidences. There's so much serendipity in this group of people. It's wonderful. So have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you all for joining us and for watching now or watching in the future. This conversation will be up for you to enjoy in the future, or if you want to send it to a friend, we hope you'll do that. And we hope you have a really fantastic Valentine's Day.